Today we have to start Act 1, Scene 2. So at first we will see scene in short. This scene opens in Belmont, where Portia, the rich and beautiful heiress, resides. So this scene takes place in Belmont, where Portia, who is one of the rich and beautiful heiress, lives. Okay, we know that Portia lives in Belmont, and she is very beautiful, and she is rich heiress. Okay, heiress means that is she has inherited wealth from her parents after their death. Then she shares with her maid Nerissa her doubts concerning her future due to the strange provisions of her father's will. Now, what we will study in this scene, that we will see that there is conversation between Portia and Nerissa, and here she shares with her maid Nerissa her doubts, that is she has doubts in her mind concerning her future, that what will happen according to the provision that is made by her father. And according to the will, she is to be won by the suitor who chooses correctly from among the three caskets made of gold, silver and lead. And what was the provision that was made by her father? That is, her father had made one of the provision of casket system. That is, he made three caskets of gold, silver and lead, and inscription was written on it. So the person, one who will read the inscription and will understand its meaning, and if he understands the correct meaning of the written inscription, so that person will only make choice, will marry Portia. Okay, so here it is given that according to the will, she is to be won by the suitor who chooses correctly from the three caskets made of gold, silver and lead. That the suitor, one who will make choice of correct casket, he will marry Portia. Then Portia ridicules the suitor. So in the scene we will also see that how she makes fun of the suitors, those who had already come to make choice of the casket, and that shows her disapproval. That is the way she is seen making fun of the suitors. So that shows that she doesn't like any of the suitors. So Portia ridicules the suitors. Ridicules means mocks, that is making fun of, who have come earlier to try their luck, showing her disapproval when Nerissa reminds her of Bassanio. So at the same time, Nerissa reminds of Bassanio, a young Venetian. She remembers him and has tender thoughts for him. That is, Portia remembers him and she has good thoughts for Bassanio. The scene is in prose and deals in indirect explanation and characterization. So this scene is in prose. This scene is in the form of a short story, we can say, and deals in indirect explanation. So, and it gives various kinds of explanation and makes us too familiar with the various characters. Okay, now which type of characters we'll come to know? That characters means that those suitors who had come to make choice of the casket. Portia tells about her thought to Nerissa about them. Okay, now we shall start the explanation. Scene 2. Belmont, a room in Portia's house, enter Portia and Nerissa. So this scene takes place in Belmont and a room in Portia's house, in one of the rooms in Portia's house. And who is there? Portia and Nerissa. Portia says, "By my troth, Nerissa, my little body is aweary of this great world." So Portia says that by my troth, that is truly Nerissa, my this little body is tired of this big world. Okay, then Nerissa replied, "You would be sweet, madam, if your miseries were in the same abundance as your good fortunes are, and yet, for aught I see, they are as sick that surfeit with too much as they that starve with nothing." Then what Nerissa said, what she replied to Portia, that you would be sweet, madam. That is, yes, surely you would be tired of this big world, sweet madam, if your miseries were in the same abundance. Now she says that if any person, or if you have the same amount of miseries. Miseries, we know, miseries means sorrows, okay, griefs. So if a person has same amount of sorrows and good fortune, that is happiness, that if a person has same amount of happiness and sorrows in his life, so that person feels in such a manner. Now why she said this? Because we know that Portia is very rich. She has lots of thing in her life, comfortable things in her life, that she doesn't have any kind of thing in her life uh, with which she has to regret. Okay, she has all sorts of comfortability in her life, but on the other side, if we see, but she grieves for uh, the husband, that is for the real lover, isn't it? That is, and she is worried also whether the correct suitor will make choice of the casket or not, whether the person one who will make choice of the casket, whether he will love her truly or not. So same way we can say in Portia's life also there is equal amount of sorrows and happiness, isn't it? So same way Narissa is also trying to explain her, that is, surely you would be, sweet madam, that surely you would be feeling tired of this big world, madam, and if a person has equal amount of miseries and happiness in one's life, so he feels like that. And then Narisa says, and yet for anything I say, they are as sick that show feet with too much as they that starve with nothing. Then what she said, that is, and yet, and at present for anything I see, that is, and whatever I see, ma'am, they are as sick that your feet, that is, there is no difference between the two, that is, between a person one who starves, a person one who remains hungry, and a person one who overeats. Shofeet is given. Shofeet means overeating, overfeeding. So here she said that there is no difference between the person one who remains hungry and the person one who eats too much. Okay, that they both feel sick. It is no mean happiness therefore to be seated in mean. So it is no mean happiness that should be kept in between. You can see 6 to 8 line number, that it is no small happiness to be situated in a position midway between poverty and riches. So she said that that's why we cannot keep happiness between the poverty, between the poor and the rich, that a poor can also remain grief for anything, and a rich person, though he has everything in his life, he can also have sorrows, he can also have such kind of feelings. Then she says, superfluity comes sooner by white hair, but competency lives longer. 8 to 9 number, you can see at the side, that those people who have too much of anything in their life will age sooner, that is, they very soon they gave up their life. So Portia said, good sentences and well pronounced, that is, you have used good sentences and very well you have said. Narissa says, they would be better if well followed, that is, these sentences would be better if it is followed in one's life. Now Portia said that if to do were as easy to know what were good to do, chapels had been churches and poor men's cottages, princes' palaces. So what Portia says, that is, if to do anything was so easy as one knows about anything, then what would have happened? That chapels had been churches. Now chapels means the small prayer rooms which are there. You can see at the side, point number 14, that a church which accommodates a small number of worshippers. Okay, that is a small prayer room. Okay, and church means that is a big, where many people can stand together and they can pray to God. So here Portia says that if it is very easy to know the good things, but it is very difficult to implement all those good things in our life. So here Portia says this, okay, that if this would have been so easy, that to follow all the things that we know in our life, then chapels had been turned into churches, and all the poor men's cottages, their houses, would have been changed into princes' palaces. Then Portia says, it is a good divine that follows his own instruction. Then Portia says that it is a good divine. Good divine means that is, he is a good person, he is a good religious person, he is a good preacher. Okay, he is a good preacher, one who follows his own instructions. I can easier teach 20 what were good to be done. So she says here that I can also teach such kind of 20 good teachings, what were good to be done, that is good to be done in our life. I can also teach such kind of 20 things than to be one of the 20 to follow mine own teaching, but I cannot even follow one out of those 20 things to be followed in my life. Okay, the brain may devise laws for the blood, but a hot temper leaps over a cold decree. Then Portia says that the brain makes the laws for our body. Here you can see the meanings on the other side, 19 number. It is given brain means reason or mind, and then devise means make, and blood means will or body. So here note that distinction between reason and will or mind and body. So here Portia says that the brain make devise laws for the blood, that is the mind may make laws means rules for our body, that the mind makes rules for our body, but a hot temper leaps over a cold decree. But our hot temper, so 20 to 20 number you can see, the heat of desire disobeys such cold laws, that is the heat of the desires which are there, that we know that what is good and bad for us, and our brain makes laws for our body, but our desires which are there, that only makes us to disobey all those cold laws that are made, rules that are made for our body. Then such a hair is madness the youth. And then she says that is such a hair is madness the youth, that is such kind of madness is there in the young age, to skip over the meshes of good counsel the cripple, that is to skip over the meshes of good counsel. Good counsel means all the good advices that a person gets in the young age, so a person skips all those good things, that is they never follow those good things, whatever is told to them, they skip everything and then they jump over everything. But this reasoning is not in the fashion to choose me a husband. And then she said that is, but this reasoning is not in the fashion to choose me a husband, but this is not the reason how I can choose a husband in my life. Oh me, the word choose. I may neither choose whom I would nor refuse whom I dislike. And then she says that is, oh me, the word choose. Now as she used this word choose, so she is reminded of that this word choose, that I can neither choose the person to whom I love and nor I can refuse anyone to whom I dislike. So is the will of a living daughter curbed by the will of a dead father, that is this is the way how the desire, the will or the wish of a living daughter is restrained by the will of a dead father. Is it not hard, Narisa, that I cannot choose one nor refuse none? So then she asks Narisa that is it not hard, Narisa, that this rule is imposed on me, that I cannot choose the person whom I like nor I can refuse anyone to whom I dislike. That if a person follows this casket system and he wins this casket system, then I have to marry that person whether I like him or dislike him. Then Narisa says that your father was ever virtuous and holy men at their death have good inspirations. Therefore, the lottery that he has devised in these three chests of gold, silver, and lead. Now, Narisa said that your father was very virtuous, that your father was ever virtuous, that he was very religious person, and all the holy men, that all the religious person at the time of their death have good inspiration, that is, they get the heavenly guidance. Therefore, he made this lottery system, this casket system that he has devised in these three chests of gold, silver, and lead. That is, this casket system that he has made out of these three caskets of gold, silver, and lead, whereof who chooses his meaning. That is, and according to this casket system, the person one who chooses his meaning, he will choose you, will no doubt never be chosen by any rightly, but one who shall rightly love. That is, there is no doubt in this, never be chosen by any rightly, but one who shall rightly love. That is, a person one who will make choice of the casket system, the correct casket. So he will not only make choice of the correct casket, the person one who will make choice of the correct casket will make choice only when if he loves you truly. But what warmth is there in your affection towards any of these princely suitors that are already come? And then she asks that, but what warmth is there? Warmth means, that is, what kind of feelings you have for those suitors who had already come to make choice of the casket. That what do you think about them? What thoughts you have about those suitors, those who had already come to make choice of the caskets?